this, but I always pray that Allah bless the brothers in Tabligh Jamaat, because it is the brothers from different countries who visited Trinidad that really, gave the dawah to me, if I would like to put it like that. I was a regular young Trini boy going to college. I used to go to church on a Sunday. Yeah, I grew up in a very, very strange place in Gasperlo. I used to go to church on a Sunday. Was not very Islamic, was not very practicing as a young boy. However, brothers who visited here in Tabligh Jamaat, they got hold of me and they started working on me. And I must say that Brother Ibrahim Padia from South Africa, he actually was the person who kept in touch with me from South Africa. And he insisted that I must go and study Islam. And that's how I ended up going to study Islam, alhamdulillah.
You did your studies where, Maulana? In
First, I went to Bangalore in South India. And that's where myself and Mufti Shabil and Maulana Abdul Salam and all these unique personalities from Trinidad were, and we all grew up together. We played cricket together. We studied together. And after Bangalore, South India, I moved to Darul Uloom Deoband. And myself and Maulana Abdul Salam, of course, did Dawah Hadith together in Darul Uloom Deoband in India. And after that, I came back to Trinidad and did Dawah and Islamic work here for about 10 years or so, and then moved on to the United States because I used to travel a lot in doing lectures, alhamdulillah. During my time here, I was at Gasperlo Masjid, at San Fernando Masjid. I never really accepted the position of Imam till today. I must say that. I never. People would think I was the Imam of Gasperlo or San Fernando, but I used to more or less give the khutbah and do classes and be around more from an educational point of view. However, doing that, there was another interesting thing that we did, myself and some dynamic young businessmen and young people here in Trinidad. We got together and established an organization called the National Muslim Sports League. A very unique, very interesting organization, which later on we were blessed. We wanted to establish what is called a National Muslim Sports Complex. But that was our plan. And Allah had a better plan, and Allah's plan is always better.
Of course.
So, around that time, Brother Nizam Mohamed was the MP of Tabakit. And he had a property in his position, as I would say at that time. And he offered it to us. And we decided, the National Muslim Sports League, to use that property for the Islamic Home for children.
That'll be in Gasperlo.
That's in Gasperlo. And that has its own history about it. So at that time, I was president of the National Muslim Sports League, and then we formed this home called the Islamic Home for Children. And of course, people here know more about the Islamic Home than I know now. It has been many years since I've left and lost touch.
And I think it's still functioning, not so, Maulana?
Well, with all the reports and readings, I understand it's going beautiful, very successful, and I pray that Allah bless all the brothers and sisters who are involved with the home and are continuing that sort of service fi sabilillah, because to take care of the orphans is a great blessing. You know, the Prophet ﷺ says that person who takes care of the orphans will be hakadha fil Jannah, will be like this with him in Jannah. And that is indeed a wonderful project, and I understand it's going beautiful, and may Allah bless all those brothers and sisters who support that project.
Ameen.
Then, of course, during that time, I used to be going around to different parts of the world. Alhamdulillah, I've lectured in South Africa, in London, in Holland, name it, around the Caribbean here, different places. Lectured in Pakistan, India, and in many states in the United States in the late 80s. And that's how I got the opportunity. I never really wanted to leave Trinidad. I still love Trinidad because I'm a Trinidadian and I really love Trinidad. But there were many opportunities in America. People asked me to come in New York and different places. I never really took that opportunity to go in New York and be Imam or Director of Islamic Affairs. However, I started going in Florida.
Okay.
They started inviting me. That's how it started. I used to go to Florida to deliver the Eid khutbah.
Okay.
And I went for Eid al-Fitr, I went for Eid al-Adha, and then by the next year, I think it was 1991 or something, I was there in South Africa. And that's how my whole life took an entirely different turn.
Right.
Yeah, interesting. Lived a certain part of my life in India, studying Islam. Came back here, lived for 10 years. So I really grew up in Trinidad for 16 years.
Okay.
Went to India, spent 6 to 7 years across there. Came back to Trinidad, spent 10 years. And then went abroad to America. Now I'm there for approximately 16, 17 years.
Okay. I am seeing here.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah. So Maulana, I'm seeing here Darul Uloom Institute, which will be in Miami, correct? So how is that going? Was it established? Give me a little background on the Darul Uloom.
Well, it's interesting to know also, speaking about Darul Uloom, in the early days, myself and Mufti Shabil, myself, Mufti Shabil, Maulana Abdul Salam, and Maulana Najib, we were amongst the first group of guys who came back from India.
Correct.
In the original days, myself, Mufti Shabil, and Maulana Abdul Salam. And Maulana Najib was with us also, and we used to get together at Mufti Shabil's home in Sawa.
Sawa, right.
And that's where all the process of a Darul Uloom started, before even Mufti Shabil started having classes there, before Darul Uloom was even established there.
Right.
So we were together.
Right.
But I was always a mover all over the place. I couldn't stay down. And they didn't get to nail me down. I know they nailed Maulana Abdul Salam down. So he's there doing a fantastic job with Darul Uloom.
Yes.
And that's how I was all over, and I ended up not sticking with Darul Uloom, and Darul Uloom took his way, and Darul Uloom is the most recognized Islamic institution here in the Caribbean. Wherever I go in the world, you go to Pakistan, India, I went to South Africa, all over the world people speak about Darul Uloom.
Yeah.
And Trinidad. And just a few weeks ago, I did a lecture in Chicago, and brothers were asking me about students from Chicago coming to Darul Uloom, and they were telling me that they had more students who wanted to come, but I don't know what's the political technicalities nowadays, but they were talking about some people wanted to come and were not able due to international reasons. I'm not too sure.
Okay.
But the point I'm getting at is there are people in America who are all excited to come. I know there are a lot of students from America who are here, and there are much more who would like to come. So Darul Uloom has made its impression, Darul Uloom Trinidad and Tobago, its impression in the world. That leads me to Darul Uloom in Miami, as you ask. When I went to Miami, I originally did some dawah work with an organization called Nurul Islam in South Florida. And later on, after spending a few years, I realized that, education is very important. And being an old student of Darul Uloom Deoband in India, and a little bit of history again. I don't want to sound like I'm a historic person, but if you check the records of Darul Uloom Deoband in India, I happen to have been the first student from the West Indies or from North America who took dakhila or enrollment in Darul Uloom Deoband in India.
Okay, mashallah.
Yeah, you ask Maulana Abdul Salam, he will confirm that. And Maulana Abdul Salam and myself, then Maulana Abdul Salam came a year after I was there. So we were really the two first students from Trinidad.
Mashallah.
And from North America, so much so that when they would issue certificates, they will call us Abdul Salam Ameriki, Maulana Shafayat Ameriki. They wouldn't talk about Trinidad.
Right.
30 years ago, people across there only know about West Indies, not necessarily Trinidad.
Correct.
In the field of cricket. However, coming from Deoband, it was always my dream to establish that name of a Darul Uloom in America. And hence the reason why we decided, I got some brothers, and we all decided to establish a Darul Uloom in Miami. Now, we started with a few students, but because of the laws of zoning and city complication, etc., it's not like in Trinidad. You could build anything you want anywhere and put how many extensions. I drive around the streets and you'd be amazed people would even put their veranda on the road. You got to drive carefully here because there are extensions all on the road. You barely got a road to drive on, and people live in big mansions and you come out and you have no roads to drive on. You can't really do that in America.
Right.
In America, you got to have roads and you got to have parking.
Right.
And then you think about your building.
Right.
So the laws were so very strong that we had this property on a 6-lane highway on Pembroke Pines Boulevard in South Florida. And it's a big property, alhamdulillah. When we bought it about 15 years ago, it was about $500,000. Now it's worth over about $4 million US.
Okay.
Because of the location, we had to stop the real Darul Uloom Deoband, Darul Uloom Trinidad style. We could not house students.
Okay.
There couldn't be any boarding and lodging because the laws for boarding and lodging happen to be different. It's in a real built-up commercial area.
Okay.
I mean, I want to explain why we had to do that. And
right.
So we had to shift now from the boarding and lodging concept of producing students, because we already had scholars from different parts of the world who would come and teach, etc. We changed from that, and when you don't have boarding and lodging, you have a problem. You will not attract many students.
Right.
And it's difficult really to groom students to that real scholarly kind of atmosphere, if you want to put them in that level.
I agree with you, yes.
So we got away from the boarding and lodging, and we realized that it technically killed that line of students who wanted to be Hufaz and Islamic scholars, etc. So we took a different style with the Darul Uloom. And that's interesting because there are a lot of people who ask me, why is this Darul Uloom not like other Darul Ulooms? What we started doing is encouraging college students, university students, middle school students to come after college, after classes, to Darul Uloom and take classes and study Islam.
Okay,
so
part-time.
Technically, yeah.
Right.
So they're getting the best of the academic field in college and university. And alhamdulillah, we are located between the Broward County Community College, the Makata High School, close, 10, 15 minutes, universities, etc. So these students would come to Darul Uloom there and study Islam. You have students who you have many students who are Qaaris, who have sort of memorized the Quran. They come, they take their part-time classes. Some will be so motivated, they will then go on to Canada or to Buffalo or to Atlanta to continue their studies to become an Islamic scholar or Hafiz.
Right.
So we sort of groom these high school university students, which is a different style, totally a different angle. It saves us from the budget of boarding and lodging. It saves us from the budget of providing academics classes for them. And a very interesting thing though, you have students who are becoming engineers. We have like the Hafiz that leads Salah in Darul Uloom, he's an engineer.
Okay.
Top the entire county in South Florida.
Okay.
I mean the top A+ student. And he leads Tarawih Salah and he leads Fajr Salah. A unique example. Not just a good student, but the top.
Right.
And he's a student completing his engineering degree right now at FIU. And he leads this Fajr Salah. And we got 3-4 different students, all university students, high school students who lead Salah.
Right.
So you understand the style we take?
Yes.
And they are now into that different world. So it saves us really from the budget of computers and academic education for them.
Right.
Now, you have a disadvantage. The disadvantage is that you may not have 100 and 200 students who will be full Islamic scholars and Hufaz. But the few students that come out of university or while they are in university and college who come to seek Islamic knowledge, to become a Hafiz and an Islamic scholar, etc., they're really unique.
Yes.
They're dynamic. They could, they could do whatever because they are the better of the two worlds. So we had to change that concept. Recently, about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I came back from Darul Uloom Deoband in India. And I did a lecture to the students, and alhamdulillah, I had a meeting with the vice principal of Deoband. Now, that's the head of all the Darul Ulooms in the world.
Okay.
I mean, when you talk of Darul Uloom, the original Darul Uloom is Darul Uloom Deoband. And that's where all Pakistan, Bangladesh, all over the world, students, teachers came from. And I had a meeting with the vice principal, who was my teacher in the original days.
Right.
And he was very impressed with this system in America, because it's a different style.
Of course.
I mean, you need everything. You need the style like Darul Uloom Trinidad, you need the one in India. But because of where we are,
of course,
and America is a strange people. While you may have out of every 100 students here, one wanting to study in Darul Uloom and get Islamic knowledge, you're going to take out one out of every 10,000 students in America.
Yeah.
You see, so it's a little harder to have that kind of full-fledged, full-time boarding and lodging institution for students. So we decided to use this mechanism, which is an interesting dawah operation. You attract this line of people. The next point is, when I spoke to the principal, the vice principal in Darul Uloom Deoband in India, he was very impressed. And in fact, he asked me if he could have students from there who want to do dawah in the West, ulamas, scholars from Deoband, if they could come in America, stay by us there, get some academics, get some training of dawah in the West, dealing with non-Muslims.
Right.
Because what happened is that, we have a lot of people who are, experts in the Islamic field, but when it comes to dealing with Christians and Jews and Hindus and Buddhists and different people, it takes some time to get prepared. So before taking that time, the good thing is to have people equipped in advance so we can understand the international flavor in the world to work better with a mixed audience.
Of course.